Today in the episode, no more money in Moscow. As oil refineries burn, payments for the mobilized soldiers decreased tenfold. New update on Tomahawk unleashes the Tomahawk missiles to Ukraine soon. Russia is testing NATO's patience. Strategic assault submarines spotted near the French coast. In Feodosia, in temporarily occupied Crimea, drones have hit an oil depot for the second time in just a few days, causing a large fire with 3 tanks burning. Satellite images confirm the blaze. There are also reports of a nearby power substation being hit. Over 20 drones were reportedly shot down by local air defenses, says the occupation head Sergei Aksyonov. By the way, the previous drone strike on the same oil depot, which happened on October 6th, the day before Putin's birthday, was not mentioned at all by Crimean authorities, despite the fire burning for several days. Drone activity and air defense were also reported near a key Russian military base used to launch attacks on Ukraine. On the morning of the same day, drone activity and air defense work were reported near the location where Russian forces launched Shahed drones at Ukraine and store military supplies. Russian President Vladimir Putin has signed a decree introducing a so-called moratorium on canceling fuel damper payments. This step is aimed at combating fuel shortages and stabilizing prices in Russia. The fuel damper is a government mechanism that helps control domestic prices for gasoline and diesel. Under the new rules, oil companies will continue receiving compensation even if fuel prices inside the country exceed the set threshold. The goal is to keep fuel supplies within Russia rather than exporting it. Recently, several regions, including occupied Crimea, have reported fuel shortages and rising prices. This is linked to damage at oil refineries caused by Ukrainian drone strikes. According to analysts, a record number of processing units are currently offline. Amid a financial crisis in local budgets, some Russian regions have started lowering the payments given to new contract soldiers. These regional payments previously accounted for up to 80% of the total motivation package offered to those joining the war against Ukraine. Since October, complaints have surfaced online from various regions. Instead of the promised 2.5 to 3.5 million rubles, new recruits are now receiving only 800,000 rubles. This has been confirmed by official army websites and local news. The government didn't officially announce the cuts and tried to hide them. The reductions were first implemented in less populated regions to minimize public backlash. However, this may serve as a test run for broader cuts nationwide, as most regions are facing significant budgetary issues. U.S. President Donald Trump has said he is ready to send Tomahawk cruise missiles to Ukraine if the war with Russia is not resolved. He views this move as a form of pressure on the Kremlin and intends to discuss it directly with Russian leader Vladimir Putin. Trump made the statement aboard Air Force One while en route to the Middle East for the signing ceremony of a peace agreement between Israel and Hamas. During a flight, Trump outlined his approach to the war in Ukraine, contrasting it with that of the previous administration. Biden gave them $350 billion. We didn't give them anything, but we gave them respect, and frankly, some other things, Trump said. The U.S. president confirmed that he had discussed the Ukrainian army's needs with President Volodymyr Zelenskyy. According to Trump, the United States may send Tomahawk missiles to Ukraine if the war is not resolved. Ukraine needs Patriot missiles very badly. They would also like to get Tomahawks, he noted. Trump described the Tomahawk as an incredible, very powerful weapon, adding that before making a final decision, he may raise the issue in a conversation with Putin.
And we talked about the weapons they need, what kind of weapons. They need Patriots very badly. They'd like to have Tomahawks. That's a step up. They'd like to have Tomahawks. We talked about that. And so we'll see. Well, I don't know. I might have to speak to Russia, to be honest with you, about Tomahawks.
Russia's former president Medvedev was quick enough to threaten Trump over his latest statements on Tomahawk missiles.
If the business peacemaker is referring to Tomahawks, the phrase is incorrect. The delivery of these missiles could end badly for everyone and most of all for Trump himself. It has been stated 100 times in a manner understandable even to the star-sprinkled man that it is impossible to distinguish a nuclear Tomahawk from a conventional one in flight. It will not be Bandera's Kyiv that launches them, but the United States. Dmitry Medvedev, Deputy Chairman of the Security and Defense Council of Russia, on Telegram.
Trump stopped short of announcing a concrete decision or timeline, but emphasized that Tomahawks represent a new stage of escalation, and that the U.S. must understand precisely how Ukraine plans to use them before proceeding with deliveries. When asked whether lessons from the Israel-Hamas peace talks could apply to the Russian-Ukrainian war, Trump underlined the importance of persistence. "I think you should never give up. Just never give up." He praised Ukrainians as very good fighters and suggested that Putin would look great if he chose to end the war. And if he doesn't, it will end badly for him, Trump added. Volodymyr Zelenskyy has also commented on the negotiations process with the United States regarding Tomahawk missiles.
I just spoke with President Trump for the second time in recent days. We are working closely with the United States to strengthen ourselves, our air defense, all our defensive capabilities, primarily Patriots, other systems, as well as our active operations and long-range capabilities. We see and hear that Russia fears the possibility of the US providing us with Tomahawks. It is a signal that this kind of pressure can be effective in achieving peace. President Trump and I agreed that our teams and our military will be working on all the matters we discussed, including those related to energy and gas.
So after the signing of the peace agreement between Israel and Hamas, all of Donald Trump's attention could go to pressuring Moscow to peace. That is what we rely on, as the peacemaking efforts of the United States are very valuable for Ukraine and Europe and for the whole world. The Russian submarine B-261 Novorossiysk surfaced near the French coast. According to preliminary data, this could have happened due to a technical malfunction of Russia as a state in general, and its submarine in particular. The Russian-caliber submarine missile carrier surfaced off the coast of France. NATO reported that the alliance was ready to defend itself and sent a frigate of the French Navy to follow the Russian ship. This is the Novorossiysk, submarine of the Varshavyanka project of the Black Sea Fleet of the Russian Navy. It is from submarines of this project that the Russian Federation launches cruise missiles over Ukraine. Russia's obviously testing the patience of NATO. Our colleagues will tell you more about it in the report.
The number of provocations on European territory is increasing. In recent days, authorities in the Czech Republic and Germany have again reported unidentified drones flying over military infrastructure facilities. Meanwhile, Belgian police are investigating the possible involvement of one of their employees in espionage for Russia and China.
In light of the information received, investigators are trying to establish whether the suspected police officer photographed or disseminated images of opponents of the Chinese and Russian regimes during demonstrations organized in Brussels. More than 1,000 demonstrations with various demands take place annually in Brussels. As the headquarters of many institutions, the capital naturally attracts the attention of foreign intelligence services. It is sometimes even called a nest of spies, from a publication on the RTBF website.
Suspicious activity has also been recorded in Estonia. The local police and border guard board temporarily closed a road passing through the Satsy-But, a section of Russian territory protruding into Estonia. The closure was due to the active movement of armed groups on the territory of the aggressor country, according to the border service.
If they were initially moving along the road, at some point they lined up across it. For us, this was a clear danger. We began stopping cars on both sides of the Satsy-But, explaining the situation and warning about patrolling in the area. Most drivers continued on, some turned back. The border service requested information from the Russian side about what was happening in their area. The Russian side responded that nothing was happening, that these were completely routine activities. For us, this was a dangerous situation, and we were forced to make the decision to temporarily close the road passing through the Satsy-But.
Estonia will not succumb to provocations as Russia desires, stated Kalev Stoichescu, head of the National Defense Committee in the Estonian parliament. According to him, Tallinn has no way to influence the movement of troops as long as they remain on Russian territory. Nevertheless, intelligence continues to monitor the situation.
Let's not give this too much significance. Russia's goal is to provoke us, to test us, and the more we get nervous about it, the better Russia achieves its objective.
NATO's Article 5 has never been invoked in a military confrontation with a nuclear-armed state, which is why the alliance is cautious about responding symmetrically to Russian provocations, experts explain. However, NATO is not idle. It assesses the level of threat and continuously strengthens its military capabilities.
Now, alliance countries are gradually returning to Cold War-era diplomacy. This includes actual airspace violations, maneuvers along borders, espionage scandals, diplomat expulsions, mutual statements, and incidents where submarines or military ships nearly collide. This practice of rubbing up against each other, the escalation of the arms race from all sides.
The Institute for the Study of War claims that Russia is entering the so-called zero phase of confrontation with NATO. This manifests in drone provocations, espionage, and informational and psychological operations. Analysts note that the aggressor country is actively building up its human resources and developing concepts and tactics for large-scale combat operations without relying heavily on tanks or armored vehicles. Moscow's direct aggression could begin earlier than 2036, as predicted by Western intelligence. Reported by Andriy Dmitrenko, UATV News.
That's all for today. Thank you for standing with Ukraine. Please subscribe to our channel to stay tuned to what's happening in the world, brought to you by The Gaze, from a Ukrainian perspective. Goodbye.